I used to find at the start of doing this, I found talking was a really good antidote to loneliness. I would be able to come on here and talk to myself and feel like I was having really good conversations, and now I just don't feel so good. Now I'm getting tired of hearing myself, to be honest. I'm getting tired of hearing myself. I don't want to hear my own voice. That sound that comes out when I exude energy through my diaphragm, in my throat, and my mouth. That doesn't sound good to my ears. Yeah, it's a whirlwind of what do I actually want. That's always been my guiding compass. What do you want? And I've traditionally been lucky in the sense that my discernment and my taste is pretty pronounced, that I can kind of go on the instinct of what I want, and that usually guides me in the direction in life that actually produces sustainably good results. You know, obviously, what do you want can sometimes lead to impulsive behavior. Like right now, I just want to fuck. Right now, I just want to smash this Big Mac meal. You know, we've been there, but it also want doesn't have to be a right now want. Want could be a lifetime want. What do you want from your life? Okay, that's a better question to ask. You know, right now I don't know what I want. I think in the last year I've done so many things I wanted, or I've at least had a little taste of them. You know, like I haven't become a successful musician, but I have had a taste of what it would be like to live as a full-time musician, you know, and do it all the time. And yeah, I kind of don't want that anymore, man. There were nights where I'd pull up Ableton and I'd just look at the screen and just be like, what are we doing? What is this? Like, what is this? Like, people are so used to the sound of music just triggering their dopamine that they forget that there's this whole chemical process that happens in between. It's just like, music hits ears, good, this good, feel good, you know, and just like music. They just like music. They don't think about why or anything. They just like music. It just feels good to listen to, and you don't think too hard about it. And then what happens when that disconnect happens, when music doesn't just immediately feel good in your ears? What happens then? You know, you become a full-time musician, you find out what happens. It's bizarre. It's bizarre because you're generating the sounds that to you of 1 year ago would be so pleasurable. You know, to you of 10 years ago would be everything you ever wanted to hear. You are fulfilling the promise that you set out, that you had when you set out to make music. But now, sitting, 4 a.m. Ableton on the screen, 8 hours deep in a session, it just triggers nothing. It doesn't feel good to hear. It just feels like sonic information passing through your brain. And you don't really know what to make of it. You're just like, well, because I know the rules, I know that objectively speaking, I've made the right decision here. Therefore, I've made a good song. But it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like you've made a good song. And then the other thing is, soon no songs feel good to hear. Not to brag, but when you get your music to a certain level where it's somewhat indistinguishable from, industry standard, from the best music in the world, just in terms of like a production quality, then you hear everyone else's music and it's just, there's no magic to anything. That was kind of terrifying, man. Like, enjoying music was such a big part of my identity. I need to enjoy music, like, to a point where it probably is an addiction, to be completely honest. Like, there's a lot of times where I should just be able to exist for 40 minutes on a train or on a walk or some kind of, in-between passage through my day where it's just like loading for the next big moment. Like I should just be able to enjoy that silence while, I await the next thing that happens in my day. But I never wait. I need another thing, and that's music. So I put in music wherever I am, whenever it is. I put in music. I always listen to music. And that got taken away. The enjoyment of that got taken away. So yeah, in a way it was kind of good, because there was a period there where I lost my earpods, and I was like, oh, well, I'm not even really listening to music. Like, I'd usually go replace them, but I'm like, who actually cares? And I was just like, damn, like, I don't even know who I am anymore. So yeah, I guess there's good and there's bad, but yeah, being a music maker, man, I know it's stupid to complain about. There's much harder things, but the other thing is a lot of those harder things come with a lot more security. Go to work in the mines. It's not easy, but you do get compensated well, and you do get the assurance of consistent work. At least compared to music. Music, no assurances, no super. It's just a bad bet for a lot of people. It's a bad bet. A lot of the people that make it will tell you, that anyone can make it, but obviously statistically that's just not true. I think too much. It's one thing I think that a lot of musicians that make it have in common, not all of them, but a lot of them, is they don't think that hard. It actually required some kind of blind, stupid willpower, where they just went. As fans of music, we're kind of drawn to that, because there's almost like a childlike quality to their ignorance, where they just don't care. They're unimpeded by the judgment of others. They're unimpeded by the reality of how tentative their situation is. They're just going. They're just dust in the wind, and and they're just there for the ride. They're just going. We like that. When you get someone who thinks too hard, they can't possibly just be dust in the wind. They're trying to check their weather out. They're trying to modulate their dust so that it cuts through the wind in an optimal aerodynamic way. They're trying to make all these calculations. And before you know it, the wind has stopped and they didn't move anywhere. So it's kind of a stupid analogy. I don't know, I just thought of it. But yeah, I think that's part of the reason why music gets harder and harder to crack into as you get older. Because you just get too smart. You get too real. You get too logistical. I can't go back. So yeah, it feels good to have been able to articulate that. The other issue I'm also facing is that I think just the work I'm willing to put in is so much more than my duo partner. We're in a band together. I guess you call it a band. We don't call it a band. There's two of us. We make hip-hop music, but I guess functionally it's a band. It was already hard enough to kind of drag him along work ethic wise to finish the music, which is supposed to be the fun part. But now that it's pretty much done, and it's time to really start pumping it and putting ourselves out there, it requires a different kind of work ethic, where we really need to exert effort. We really need to show up for ourselves and each other, and actually just complete daily tasks in order to further our brand and further our chances of getting recognized, getting heard. So I do my bit. I make a daily social media post, and there was 2 times, man. There's one, so I'm just like, hey man, let's just make one agreement. So I've got my agreement that I do my daily post. I just need one agreement from you. There's one thing that you can do on a consistent basis to further our thing, and so originally that thing was, maybe he would just post, once every few days on TikTok. So I said, all right, left him to it. And then, after 3 posts he just never posted again. Just completely stopped. So then I was like, all right, so that's not your thing. Fair enough. Maybe let's look at this other idea. There's a bunch of mentors on YouTube teaching us this shit of different things we can try. So another idea that was suggested, maybe once a day you can go and just comment on some different profiles with our account so that we kind of get our name out that way. And so meanwhile, I'm still posting my daily videos every day, a new video, written, shot, acted out, edited, uploaded, captioned, whatever, every day. And then, the one thing I'd ask, just leave a comment somewhere every day, just one comment. So he did that, did it for another day, and then never did it again. And that put me in a position where, despite my belief in our music, despite how much I love what we made, I don't think I can go through with this. And it breaks my heart. It really does. Because these songs that we made together are like, my babies, and I have so much faith that they could do things. But it's not enough to have good music. You have to have effort behind them in getting them heard. And we don't. We have my effort, and I feel like I'm in a duo all by myself. So I haven't even seen him, but what I will do, I think I need to take a hiatus. I need to take a break from the duo for a period. Let him decide how much he's willing to work on it, and based on how much he works on it in my time off, I will decide if this is a project worth me coming back into, because I know what I'm willing to put in, and he knows, because I've done it consistently. And the craziest thing about all of this, I worked so hard that I'm about to take a month off, have a month's hiatus, and I have a new video for us scheduled for every single day of that month. That's how much I've done. I'm going to completely stop, and my contributions will still get us through a whole month. Now, I didn't even ask him to do all that, man. I didn't ask him to match me there. I just wanted something. And I got nothing. I got temporary things, but I got nothing consistently. And if it's not consistent, I'm sorry, but it doesn't count. It doesn't count. It doesn't matter what you do. If you don't do it consistently, you may as well not do it at all, because no one's checking for what you did in June 2021. I don't care if you did it once. If you don't have a consistent body of work before then, after then, bridging new fans and old fans and pumping it and keeping the algorithm hot, or you don't have anything. So it's a really sad situation, to tell you the truth. I don't like that we're here. I want it to work, but it kind of feeds into a theme in my life where I end up in these dynamics with people, these partnerships, relationships, friendships, where my partner puts in so little effort that I know if I match them at their level of effort, that what we have will cease to exist. I know that for a fact. So it's really, I need to respect myself enough to walk away from situations where I'm not being valued, because I left a 5-year relationship. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I left a 5-year relationship because no matter how much I loved her, and no matter how much, because here's the other thing about relationships, is you project your feelings onto them. So I loved her so much that I could have been convinced, I could have been deluded into believing that she loved me like that, because I just felt so much love around her that I could have just easily believe that it was going both ways. It's like, yeah, we're both feeling this, right? And yet, despite how much I loved her, I really had to rationalize the situation and take inventory on how she was actually showing up and see through my own delusions. Even though I didn't want to, even though, like, you know, head over heels after 5 years, you have no reason to do that. Like, you don't want to do that with every fiber of your being. You just want to, like, put a ring on her, you know, and spend your life together. And still, despite everything that I wanted from our future, everything that I thought we'd go on to do with our kids, all the holidays we go on, the life we share together, despite all of that, I had to leave. I had to tell her that you don't love me enough, that your heart's not here anymore. And it was true. And she'd emotionally cheated. And she was still telling me that she wanted to be with me. She was still telling me she'd do anything to make it work. And I had to look that person in the eye, despite everything that I just said, everything that I wanted, and be like, what you're telling me is not enough, because the actions don't back it up. And I left. I left a 5-year relationship because I didn't feel that my investment was being reciprocated. And not long after, I was proven right, and her and the person that she emotionally cheated with, they started dating, and they're still going out to this day, 3 years later, at least that I'm aware of. So that's what I come from. That was one of the most defining points in my life, a defining decision. It's a sort of decision, once you make a decision like that, you cannot, for the rest of your life, be faced with the same decision and not do it again. Once you've done that, once you've left the person you thought you were going to spend your life with, there is no relationship that you wouldn't leave in the right circumstances. Nothing will be harder than that. And yeah, so obviously this is a very different situation in a lot of senses. It's not a romantic partnership, it's a music and a business partnership. But in a lot of ways there is still as much love involved, obviously love being projected in a different way. But there is so many commonalities. It is a letting go of the imagined future together, the imagined possibilities. You know, there is the uncertainty about what life looks like for me outside of this thing. It's not for me to say what's about to happen, but what is in my power is 1 month of a hiatus, and after that month I'll have clarity on whether or not this project that we share is worth my time, energy, and emotions. So yeah, thanks for joining me for the start of season 2.